first wrote that song. I call it Welcome to Memorize the Fretboard, Lesson 3. No offense, I hope you won't hold it against me, but we're gonna do double duty today. In the past couple of videos, we've just focused on one thing. The first video was learning some note names on this top string. And then in the second video, we learned about the difference between sharps and flats and how they affect your note recognition determination skills on the guitar. Today, on the third lesson of Memorize the Fretboard, we are going to do dos things, Spanish for two. Surprised you didn't know that. We are going to learn some note names on the A string, the second string from the top, and we are going to learn a little octave trick that will open up a world of note names for you. Too long of an introduction. Just get into the content. Sign up for the newsletter at marinmusic.com. Quick review. In step 1, we learned some notes on the top string, like I said. Let's review those quickly. The open top string is E. It's the E string. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The first fret is F. F is for first. Then the third fret is G, because why is 3G? 3G cell network? I don't remember. We had some way to remember that the third fret is G. Fifth fret is A. I don't remember any of these. Because 5 is alive. Number 5 is alive, like Johnny 5 from the robot movie. 5 is alive. Then 7 is B. We remember that because your birthday is on the 7th, so 7 is B. Then 8 is C, Crazy 8 from Breaking Bad. And then 10 was D. Maybe because like decade is 10 and this is a 10th fret. Is that what I said? So hopefully you already watched step 1 and you memorized all the notes, and all of that review I just did was completely unnecessary. Now let's do some quick unnecessary review for step 2, which there's also the lesson for you to watch for that, about sharps and flats. The number one, the big thing I really harped on you guys about is that flat and sharp is different from minor and major. They are just completely different things. So just get that into your brain. And now I would like to remind you that when a note is flat, it means you just move 1 fret to the left. When a note is sharp, you move 1 fret to the right. So this is G right here. So that means 1 fret to the left is G flat. Okay, back to the G. If we move 1 fret to the right, G sharp. Review is over. That wasn't that bad. It was utterly pointless, but it's done. So now, as John Candy once said in the TikTok viral video, we're finished so we can laugh about it now or something like that. I don't know. It's from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This is the only thing I ever wanted to tell you was that it's time for us to start today's video. So now let's move into some new material. We are going to learn some note names for the A string, the second string from the top. Guys, I did not come up with demonic devices to memorize these note names, so we're gonna do it on the spot. The open A string, the second string from the top, is called A. It's the A string. You know that. It's A. Oh, I should mention, we're not going to go through this for each string. Don't worry. We're only doing this for the top 2 strings. There is literally no reason for you to memorize the note names on the bottom 4. I will explain why later in this video. But for now, we're just okay. Yes, okay. So the open A string is called A. Now, the second fret on the A string is called B. So the second fret is B. You can remember that because second best. You are the second best of your siblings. You are the second best. In the comments, what are you second best at? The third fret is C. C-3PO. C-3PO from Star Wars Tours. So C is 3. Third fret is C. All right, so open A, then second best, and then C-3PO. And then if you go to the 5th fret, that's D, because R2D2. And never mind. It's R5 R5, D5 from Star Tours. Guys, that's how you remember the 5th fret is R5, D2. Shoot. D is the 5th fret. Then go up to the 7th fret, and that's E, because 7, E11. I know that's a little confusing because it's 2 numbers, but you know it's not the 11th fret up here. And what? You're saying that the 7th fret is the 11th fret? That doesn't make any sense. It's the 7th fret is E, and the number 11 starts with E. 7, E11. Just remember that. Great. Perfect. All right. 8 is F, because fate. The fate of the world hangs in the balance, and only you can save humanity by memorizing that F is the 8th fret. Open A. Second best, C3PO, R5D2, that one's weak, 7E11, F8, and then G is the 10th fret. 10 and G, like Godric the All-Knowing. No, 10 and G. Help me out in the comments. Help me out. 10 and G. Gophers live to be 10 years old. So okay, so 10th fret is G because, as we all know, gophers live to be 10 years old. Open A, second best, C3PO, R5D2, 7E11, the fate of the world hangs in the balance, and I already forget it. Gophers live to be 10 years old. We have now learned the names of the important notes on the A string. Fantastic. That's the boring part where your homework is just to like go through that a million times and just go A, best, C3PO, R2D2, 711, fate, Godric the Golden. People of the world, friends and relatives, are you ready for the fun and actually useful part of the video? I should have put the fun and useful part first, but I decided to save it for the end when everyone already stopped watching. We're gonna learn how to find octaves on these top 4 strings. An octave, I think I talked about it briefly in a previous program, is when you can have like a low version of a note and then a high version of the same note. So you can have like a low G note, and then you go higher, 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 higher. Eventually you're gonna hit another G note, but it sounds higher. Let me play for you an example of an octave. Here is a low G. Great, fantastic. Here is a higher octave G. I almost messed up, that was weird. Can you hear that those are like the same note? Like they're different. Clearly this one is lower and this one is higher pitch. But they're like the same. That's because they are both G's. They're just different octaves. It's a vocabulary word for the day. Octave. There is a very, very, very useful just little pattern for finding octaves of any of the notes on the top 2 strings. So I played the G on the 3rd fret of the top string. Do you remember that that's where the G is? Great, fantastic. Now, if you just move 2 strings down like that, so I just go, look, super close up. I just go 1, 2. Ah, shut! I just went 1, 2, like that. Then I'm gonna move 2 frets over to the right. 1, 2. I just make this like L shape. So that was down 2 strings, 1, 2. Yes, I'm aware it's technically up 2 strings, but they're moving down towards the floor. So everyone, and then over 2 frets. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Guys, the 5th fret on the top string, what's the name of that note? Well, if you did the part 1, you would know that it's 5 is alive. It's an A. Can we find a higher octave A? You follow the exact same pattern. You just go 1, 2, 1, 2. There is a higher octave A Let's do another one. Guys, would you please play D on the A string for me? So D on the second string from the top. Well, let's see. We got open A, second best, C3PO, R5D2. So 5 is the 5th fret of the second string from the top. Let's find the octave of that note, the higher octave. Well, even though we're starting on a different string, we're not on the top string, we're on the second one, we're still just gonna move 1, 2 strings over, and then 1, 2 frets over. Just 1, 2, 1, 2. Poop, beep, poop, beep, 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 pants. Any single note on the top 2 strings, you just go down 2, over 2, and you have the same note an octave higher. So that means here's an F, here's an F, here's a B flat, here's a B flat, here's a D, here's a D, here's an F, here's an F. It works everywhere. On the top 4, it only works with it. You can only do that starting on the top 2 strings. If you start on like the 3rd string from the bottom, listen, over 2, so here and here, listen. Oh, do you hear that? They're not the same. That's the end of the video. Okay, wait, actually, really quick. So that's helpful because that means as long as you know the names of the notes on the top 2 strings, then you also can really quickly figure out what the notes are called on the next 2 strings. So there's no need to memorize those middle 2 strings because you can always just find them using the octave trick on the top 2. Does that make sense? Now, the other thing I wanted to say is that this is exactly the same for sharps and flats. With what, okay, so look, here's a G flat, right? The second fret is G flat. If you go down 2, 1, 2, and then over 2, 1, 2, that is a higher octave G flat. It doesn't matter if the notes are sharp or flat or whatever. If you go down 2, over 2, you will always find a higher octave. Now we're done.